All right, good afternoon, everyone. This is Brian Kruger with Fellowship of Christian Athletes in Las Vegas, Nevada. And today we have the honor and privilege of having a brief interview with the 2019 Coach of the Year in the state of Nevada, Bob Chinn, who led the Lady Crusaders varsity soccer team to a state championship and an unbelievable run in the national scene as well, finishing number 8 in the USA Today Top Super 25 national poll. Also with us is the State of Nevada Director for FCA, Mr. James Kitchen. Gentlemen, thank you for taking some time today.
Thanks, Brian. Thanks for having us.
Coach Chinn, so this was, you and I go back years ago where we were coaching. I was coaching football. You were doing middle school, high school as an assistant coach with the soccer program. We had the fortunate opportunity to lead a FCA huddle for about 25 student athletes, and I cherish those memories very well with you, and it was an honor to be part of that. And then I left, and you continued on, got the opportunity to become the ladies varsity soccer coach. And boom, within a short period of time, you guys achieved some incredible successes. And we wanted to just find out a little bit more about really what this last season meant to you and the young ladies that you coach, and what it meant to them as far as both, not just outwardly in terms of seeing the accolades, but more importantly, how did it impact them internally, especially as it relates to their personal relationships with Christ and you trying to mentor them in that way. So tell us just a little bit about the season. And, it looks like there was mostly ups, not many downs, since you outscored your opponents 125-3. But share with us, if you would, just a little bit about that whole experience that your team had.
No, we were very, very blessed. We're very fortunate. And people don't always understand this. Some people think it's luck in that. I believe it's a blessing. I believe the good Lord put his hand on us and really guided and protected us. We're also very fortunate in the sense, coaching middle school, I get to see these kids for a couple of years before they even come to high school. So it's kind of a nice process. They get comfortable with me. I get to get comfortable with them. And it makes for an easier transition going forward with the program. We did a couple of things this year that, again, were just super amazing. And part of it, well, all of it goes right back to the very beginning, where our philosophy was God, program, team, and individual. And getting kids to always understand that is not always easy. But this group was very special, is very special, in the sense they understood that the philosophy we had wasn't just about soccer, but it's about life. And by staying focused on God, then the program, then the team, and then the individual, it made it a lot easier. Now, we had one heck of a run, but the whole thing wasn't always that easy. For example, we are a very strong type of team with a lot of club players. Faith has grown from when we would only have 14 to 15 players for the whole soccer program in high school. Last year, we had 38, 39 super strong players, but what that does, it's a double-edged sword. For example, on varsity, we carried 21 players. JV, we had 17. Before the first game was played in JV, we actually dropped to 11 because 6 players decided that the way we were doing the program, and that wasn't for them, as well as the fact that if they couldn't make varsity, they weren't going to be playing. And that was what we talked about, is you've got to put yourself last. The program, the God comes first, and this is what God's calling you to do. This is what you need to do. Then as the program, we tried to break this to them even in preseason and just in our intramurals, that this team is going to be stacked. There is no doubt. I've seen you guys from 7th grade. This is going to be one of the it won't be the strongest, but I said it's going to be one of the strongest teams. And it came about that. Well, it was a good testing point, because then what that means is when you're down to 10 players, you're always playing a player short on JV. Well, they hustled, they worked hard. They also ended up undefeated in their season with that. But what it did, it brought the whole program together, and people started to really understand, if you stay focused on what's important and you don't get caught up in the wins and the losses, they'll take care of themselves. Sure. And with this particular group, we were able to really get them to understand the win on the scoreboard is great, but the win later on is much more important. And that's where the program itself focusing on God, because that, to me, that's what's the most important thing we can do. And as we mentor these young ladies, it's important for them to see that that's going to last them a lot longer than a victory will on the field.
Absolutely. So there was probably a lot of moments that were memorable throughout the season, and wondering if there was any defining moments. I know one of the things that was mentioned in the article that the Review Journal did was that you had beaten the Bishop Gorman ladies 2-0, and they were two-time state champions. I think they had won 49 games in a row. How was that? Was that kind of a defining moment to provide these ladies the confidence they needed, and what happened as a result of that?
Well, it actually started a week or that weekend before. We were up in Reno for a tournament. The Galena hosts a high school soccer tournament up there, the Howell tournament. Faith had never won it before. Well, we ended up winning the tournament. We beat the Galena, a very strong team, 1-0 in the championship game. And that's where I was trying to tell the kids that what we're going to be able to accomplish is some really cool things if we stick together and we do this. Going back a little farther, remember in club soccer, people pay a whole lot of money to play club soccer. So they're used to their kids getting a whole lot of playing time. Well, my style was we got 21 players, and honestly, I would say 18 of them could start at any high school. So that meant I had 7 players that I could rotate in and out, and it wasn't uncommon for us to rotate anywhere all 21 would play or at least 18 would play. That's a distinct advantage because it gave our kids the opportunity to keep fresh legs, but it also gave them that opportunity to take a look at the game from a different view, and they started to see the game differently as a team versus as an individual. So that growth factor. So then we came and we played Gorman at our field, and to be candid with you, I didn't even know about their winning streak. I just knew that was going to be one of our top opponents that year, and we needed to bring our A game. Girls played extremely hard. Bishop's a good team, but we came out 2-0, and it really did, because the girls had in the past, we'd always lost to Bishop 3-2, 2-1, something like that. Well, this year, with the fresh legs, they really started to understand that we just came off a tournament. Now we're playing Gorman. We had fresh legs, and I think that's what led to that. But then they started to really buy in that as a total team, as a program, we can really do something special with this. And it was like I said, it's a nice thing because I'm sure everybody has their own different rivalries in that, but Gorman's always been one for us trying to get by, has always been that hurdle. So jumping that hurdle was a good jump start to the year.
And as you went through the season, and obviously the national rankings started coming into play, and obviously that comes with it, that's a lot for a team who's never experienced that type of success, especially on a national stage. How did that impact the team, and how did you help them deal with that? Because, you know, kids today can start with social media and everything. They can start thinking that they're maybe bigger than they really are. And how did you kind of couch everything in a way to, you know, be humble like Jesus teaches us to be?
Well, it's funny that you say that, because that was one of our biggest challenges, and I've never got caught up in the statistics of the game or the rankings. We didn't even know we were ranked until the RJ advised us, "Hey, did you guys know you're ranked?" I said, "No, and I really don't want to." But once that became common knowledge, we had to deal with that from a sense of, we had a term that we would stay humble, stay hungry. Because once you get satisfied, you're not nearly as hungry on that field or the practice field going out and preparing for it. So by staying humble and staying hungry, it helped us. The other thing we did every single week is we would go over different Bible verses. And then we had another coach at Faith that would come and do mental training. Because I'm a firm believer that the game is, there's several ways the game's played: the head, the heart, and at home. And by home, I mean away from the practice field. Well, the head is such an important part of the process that sometimes we lose track. We get caught up in just how fancy our touches look or how tactically sound we are. But in the head, it guides all of that. So we stayed with that. Then we really focused on the heart, that you got to play this game and enjoy the game. You got to play it with passion. You got to have fun at what you're doing. It goes back, and again, everybody believes in different things, but I'm a firm believer boys have to win to get along. Girls, it's not that way. Girls have to get along to win. The chemistry of the team was so critical. This was by far the best chemistry we had. We really did not have any little titter-tatters or anything like that. I mean, and if you've coached girls soccer or boys soccer, you can see the differences. Boys will they may fight before the game, but on that field, they're united. On a girl, you could have somebody making an off-ball run that's wide open. That player, the girl with the ball, will look at her and say, I don't think so. She wore the same, whatever the reason being. And so we were able to overcome that again as a team. And we really emphasized with our captains the leadership that we needed from them, not just to wear the armband, but to actually earn it and work with them as captains and staying focused. But one of the biggest things, Brian, was really staying humble and staying hungry, because every game we went to, once people found out we were ranked, we had the target on our back. I mean, it was even interesting because not only from the players, but having been around soccer a long time, most of the referees, they would allow the game to be played sometimes a little more physical than I would even like, because they didn't want to interfere with the game. Well, our style, again, is a possession game. It's fast. We're an attacking team. So we had to also adjust our style and that ability to overcome those challenges.
Interesting. And you'd mentioned the term leadership, and it obviously starts from the head coach being you. And how did you instill within the team itself, and specifically the captains? We've actually been doing some things through FCA, through a team that I coach, in terms of we've actually been working alongside another guy who supported FCA and has a rich history, Coach Vernon Fox, who you're very aware of also. And how did the captains, the role that they played as far as being able to unite all the girls, the ladies, in a way, especially when you were kind of on the sideline and they were in the thick of things? How did those captains play a critical role in the leadership?
And soccer is an interesting sport in the sense that there are no timeouts. It doesn't stop. So what we try to get the kids to think about is there's a couple styles of coaching. You can have your joystick coach where everything is being directed by the coach from the sideline. And what we try to remind the girls, that's not my style. And if a coach can call out a play, tell you what to do, by the time you hear it, process it, and do it, that's a long time. So that's a pretty ugly game. And I said, we don't want to watch, nor do we want to play an ugly game. So our philosophy became, and they understood this, is that if we were to make a mistake, and you notice I say we make a mistake, we don't say anything. All we say is, we got this. We have it. We can overcome this. And the captains really did good about reinforcing that, because you can take it in a negative sense that a kid knows when they make a mistake. You do not have to remind them 3 times or call it out on the field and point it out. So the captains were real good about making sure in the field we stayed positive, making sure in the field that if for whatever reason we might switch a formation in the game, they were responsible for communicating that this is what we're now switching to. Or if we had a certain play we wanted to be done on a set piece, they were responsible for even making the call. What kind of play do you guys want to run? What do you want to do? And we also worked with them a little more, and each year we're trying to do a little more. As I told them just the other day, we had a meeting with our captains coming back for this year, is I want their legacy to be that they've taken the captain's position and taken it from where you just wear an armband or it's just something that sounds good, and now you're actually setting up practices, you're actually running drills, you're actually setting up the pregame warm-ups, you're doing everything that what I expect that a captain should be able to do. For example, we let them this year pick out different Bible verses that will be represented on our team day shirts for the seniors and the juniors on that aspect of it. We let them decide the different thing about what does it take to letter? How do you letter? Mm-hmm. We let them decide on our tryouts. Because again, it's really, if you think about it, it's their program. We're just there to help manage it and guide it along in that process. We might put in our thoughts, because again, I'm real big on don't get caught up in the wins and the losses. If you do, it's a pretty bumpy road. But that win, like this year, this win, really we won't know for 5, 10 years. How did we really win? What level did we win at? How did those players develop in the young ladies? Yeah. How are they giving back to the community, to the world? That's, again, they really started to grasp that, and it's fun watching, because remember, I'm blessed. I get to see them as a 7th grader, and then we get to celebrate with them as a 12th grader where they're going off to college. So it's a really nice feeling to watch them grow and develop.
That's awesome. And so as we wrap up here, it kind of dovetails nicely into, what you're working to do to ensure that they're taking the experiences they're getting from their high school career, not just in terms of academics, but also athletics as well. And it seems like you're really involving all of them in a way to get the best out of them athletically, but also how does that relate to they finally get out of high school, and even if they go on to play college, what is their life going to look like after that? How are they going to be disciples of Christ as they get out into the quote unquote real world? And it seems like you're even involving them, as you said, you're reviewing Bible verses, and you're going over mental toughness and some of those things. How have they really embraced that to take all this in and leverage the opportunity so that when they go out into the real world, they're able to lead not just themselves first, but then they can go lead and influence others to be disciples of Christ?
You know what? This year, again, it's been such a blessing to watch each year the program grow, and again, staying focused on God. This year, we're even taking it a step further. Each player picks out one Bible verse, because I said, what I want you to do is remember, when things get tough, pick out a verse that is your rock. What do you go to? What is your belief? And it was funny because mine has always been Galatians 6, 9, and 10, where you talk about never give up, keep trying, because about that time you're ready to give up, good things are coming your way. And the seniors decided to make that their verse. But each player has to pick out a verse that I want them to be able to not only be able to talk about, but I want it to be their rock. So when things get shaky in the world, because you got to remember too, these are young girls. These are young ladies learning how to grow and be young women. And the world's going to come at them in so many different ways. Some things we do a little different here is we really do. We have 6 team dinners, and the team dinners are designed to get away from soccer, just to hang out, be together, talk about what's going on in the world, how's it going, that type of stuff. We also give them, I know people think we're crazy, but we give them every single Friday off. The intent is for them to go out, be a young lady, go on a date, go to the football game. Soccer is not the end all. Soccer is just a transitional phase that you go through with that. We also really work hard with them to try to get them to that next level. We'll communicate with the different coaches. I ask them, do you want to play college soccer? If so, what's your top 4 or 5 picks? And you got to be realistic about where you're going. Not everybody's going to go to Stanford. It isn't a good fit for everybody. But it might be another college in a different area to allow them to get to. So with that, we work with them one-on-one. And it really helps them, because the process is not easy. The journey of going on as a student athlete is a challenge with it. But we try to show them that, again, my poor sense of humor, the dark side, club soccer, isn't the only means available to them to get to college. We film every single game, then we'll break it down. They have the ability, we show them how to do highlights. We show them how to communicate with college coaches. And what we try to teach them is that playing college soccer is a great honor, but remember, past that is real life. Past that is going on, being a mom, being a whatever you choose to be in life. The availability is there. This is just a means. The last thing we really try to do is get them to stay in the moment. Don't look behind. Don't look ahead. Look at where we're at right now. Enjoy each moment. Because the world, and especially being an older dog, the world goes so fast. And sometimes we get so caught up in social media, how many likes do I have, how many this and that we forget that regional championship game is something that very few people, well, think about it. Only 2 teams get to participate in Southern Nevada and Northern Nevada for the state championship. So only 2 teams get that experience. Enjoy the moment. Whatever happens, it's okay. You're going to come back. The world's going to be all right. But enjoy that moment and take it from there to build on. Because like next year, seriously, we should have a very strong team. But, and this is what we told them, we just had a captain's meeting. I said, the real thing is we have to stay focused on God. If we drift from God because he has blessed us, then don't expect things to go the same way. We didn't have any injuries last year. We had several minor injuries, but nothing in the past where we had ACLs, MCLs, all the the acronyms that are out there for soccer injuries. So we were very, very fortunate from that. And playing again, going back to it, playing as a program and a team makes such a huge difference versus where you're used to, if you think about it, a club concept where you have showcases isn't to show the team, it's to show the player. High school isn't that way. So we had to get that transitional phase into that. In high school, it's all about the team representing your school, wearing your school's colors. Game day, they love to wear their jerseys to school. So it's that pride that they take from that aspect of it. And then going forward in life, the pride they take from going to a Christian school and teaching others.
That's awesome.
Coach, you have, sorry, Brian. Coach, you've shared a tremendous lesson about like longevity. A lot of these girls you've had since they were 7th grade, you've seen them progress, grow, culminating in the great season. We live in this culture right now where it's like instantaneous results is what people at least perceive that they're measured by. You've coached for a long time. Brian's coached for a long time. What would you say to a young coach starting out who fights the tension with, it's easy to kind of stay humble, when you give up 3 goals in the season, but like, what would you say to a young coach starting out who's maybe only 1 or 2 years in and it's not going how they have dreamed? Because obviously you didn't have this season every single year.
No.
Right.
No,
so what would you say you've learned in your coaching career? Like if there's one nugget that you could pass on to young coaches in the Vegas area, indeed our whole state, what would you pass on to them?
Sounds corny, but again, Galatians 6, 9, and 10, don't give up. Keep plugging away. And remember, as a coach, if you enjoy the game, if you enjoy coaching, if you enjoy working with the kids, they will enjoy it. How many of us have been around a grumpy coach or a grumpy person? It's no fun. And I think if we can enjoy it and we take forth that enjoyment and pass it on to them, the enjoyment of the game, it makes a huge difference. I think, again, when you look at that differently versus, let's say, for example, it's easy to get caught up in just winning. Well, just winning could be at a younger age, just playing long ball, just putting it over the top.
Right.
But now, in 2 and 3 years, when they're challenged and they can't possess, you could be the fastest player, but they got a defense that's going to shut you down. How do you now get past that? So if you can, don't coach for today. Coach for 2 and 3 years ahead where that player wants to be and help them to get there.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
That's awesome. Well, gentlemen, again, thank you so much for your time. Coach, just an amazing season that you guys had last year, and sounds like you're going to be positioned to do something amazing this year, barring, anything that can, we always wonder if those things can happen. And it's great to hear from someone who is really leading these young athletes in a way that God wants us to be like every day. And we know that you care about these ladies. You love them like they're your own daughters, and you want to see them excel not just today, but next year, 5 years, 10, 20, 30 years down the road, and that they're making a meaningful impact in society. And that's really what FCA is all about, is how are we making sure that these student athletes and coaches are realizing the influence they have to be able to go out and witness for others about the gospel and the good news that we all have through Jesus' salvation. And so, and congratulations on the accolades and being Coach of the Year in the state of Nevada in 2019. Good luck to you and your ladies here in the upcoming season. I think we're all kind of antsy to get going again as we're kind of coming out of this COVID environment. And I know the football players are getting ready for the fall, and everybody else who's getting ready is excited about what's going to happen here as we close out the second half of this year. So again, thanks for your time, your support over the years for Fellowship of Christian Athletes, and we wish you the best, and God bless you and your team going forward, Coach.
Thank you. Thank you to both of you.
God bless.
Thank you.